Hello, and welcome to this Feast for Odin strategy guide. The three most important things to understand about this game are what your early game priorities are, when to get a new island and which islands to get, and how to fill up your maps as efficiently as possible. So I'm going to go over all of these. And note that I play with the Norwegians expansion, so most of these strategies will apply to the base game, but there might be some that do not. Your first priority is to get this 2 silver income, and this is very easy to do. You just need a 2x2 on your main board. So you should always do this in the first round. Optionally, you can fill up more of your main board, going for the mead bonus, a 3rd silver income, and the coal, or perhaps just the coal or just the mead, whatever combination you're able to get to early. But you should not prioritize these over the next things that I'm going to go over, only if you have extra resources to do so with. You should complete your Artisan shed as early as possible, ideally in the first 2 rounds. This is a very efficient way to get more income early in the game, so make sure to surround those bonuses. The exception are the Artisan sheds that require a large animal like a cow or horse. These will generally be completed in the 3rd round, because if you buy 2 animals in the 2nd round, then one of them will get pregnant. You can use the non-pregnant one to finish your Artisan shed and still get more animals with animal breeding. Which is another of the top priorities of the early game, is to, in round 2 generally, get 2 animals so that they can start breeding. And at the end of the game, you'll have 5 of those animals, assuming you don't use them for other things. Now, if you get the cows, they're not worth that many points, but they are very large. So generally what I like to do if I get cows is I like to wait for them to breed and then upgrade them into greens so that I can place them on my main board and fill up a lot of space, covering up a lot of those negative points on my main board. Alternatively, if I go for horses, I'll just let them be and score them as points. 5 horses will be worth 30 points at the end of the game. In the mid-game, we want to work on completing islands for their production bonuses and also scoring some good points. I'll generally buy my first island on round 3 and my second island on round 5. And the islands I go for are the ones that just flipped over to get the strongest islands that I can at the given time, rather than going for any silver bonus that's been placed on the unflipped islands. So for example, I might go for Bear Island in round 3 and Labrador in round 5. Or I might go for Limerick in round 3 and Cork in round 5. And once you get these islands, it's a lot better to fill these islands up than to fill up your main board, because the bonuses on them are more efficient. So definitely focus on getting the silver and also just the biggest income bonuses that they have. I find it takes me both rounds 3 and 4 to get the income on my first island, but it only takes me 1 round, round 5, to complete all the income on my second island. Then I have the last 2 rounds just to fill up all the negatives and finish my main map. Here's 2 examples of how you might fill up the main board, or at least the first part of it. In the first one we have green tiles with a lot of silver in between. And in the next one we have mostly blue tiles pieced together with a few green tiles. And the first one of these is a lot more efficient. Not just because that this coal bonus was covered up in the second one, but because green tiles are a lot cheaper than blue tiles. You don't have to waste an upgrading your greens to blues. And you can generally get some pretty big green tiles for fairly cheap, or upgrade your red tiles into green tiles directly. Now, green tiles can't touch each other, but by using silver in between the green tiles and a few blues or weapons, you can cover a lot of this space with green tiles and do so very efficiently. Using silver like this is really great for filling in those holes and getting all the bonuses on the map, because you can do it in whatever shape you need. And since at the end of the game you're probably going to be using all of your silver to cover over these -1 bonuses at the end of the game anyway, there's really not a good reason to save your silver. Instead, you should just use your silver to get as many income bonuses as possible, as soon as possible. Sure, silver can be used for other things, but your income will often be enough to do those things, and you don't need to save silver up to do them. This is what your board might look like at the end of the game, if you're very efficient at tiling. So we've gone over how silver can be used to efficiently get all your bonuses and cover up your map. And there's also another strategy that I call checkering, where you have this checker pattern with the blues and the greens so that you can maximize the amount of greens usable in this space. If you compare that to what we saw on the previous board, where there's just a few small greens that aren't positioned very well, so that the rest of the space has to be occupied by blues, there's quite a big difference in the efficiency of the tiles being used here. In general, I'd recommend that you never cover up a bonus, because not only does it give you the income, but it's also just a space that's already filled up for you. So covering it kind of wastes your resources. The exception to that is in this longhouse, where it's really not such a big deal to cover up, say, the beans over here. So just do whatever you have to do to cover up these negatives, and how else are you going to use the fruit? It's kind of too big to be used efficiently anywhere else. And you might have extra actions or extra resources to use just following this guide. So there's other things that I didn't really go over, which I consider just optional. So you could build boats, or you could build more of these huts, or you could emigrate. And those are all fine, and you can make them however much of a strategy that you want. I wouldn't say that they're necessary to do, so you don't have to rush them. And I definitely think that the priorities I outlined here you should focus on those first, and then if you have extra, you could do some emigrations or something. Or you could even, if you want to go all out on islands, you can get a third island, just depending on your playstyle. This is a complicated game. There's a ton of options. Even if you're following this strategy, you can still play 10 games each entirely differently. Which actions are you going to take to accomplish these goals? And I'll leave that up to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.